Hey there, Revenge Emmy family. Buckle up, because today's story is a wild ride through betrayal, greed, and the kind of justice that hits like a freight train. Picture this: a gray December morning in Cedar Falls, Iowa, where a 67-year-old widow named Dorothy Williams, Dot to her friends, stands in a corner store, clutching a lottery ticket that's about to turn her world upside down. For 32 years, Dot's played the same numbers, a quiet ritual tied to the love and life she built with her late husband, Harold. But when those numbers finally hit for $53 million, her son Marcus and his wife Ashley think they've struck gold. They're already planning their dream mansion, their fancy vacations, and, oh yeah, kicking Dot out with a cruel, "We don't need your pathetic pension cash anymore. Just go die somewhere else." But here's the kicker. When Dot laughs and says, "Sweetie, did you even read whose name is on that ticket?" Their faces go pale, and the ground beneath them crumbles.
How did a mother's quiet hope turn into her family's undoing? Let's backtrack to that chilly Iowa morning and find out how Dot's story became a masterclass in serving cold, hard justice.
I'm Dorothy Williams, but you can call me Dot. At 67, I've seen my share of joys and sorrows. I'm widowed now, 2 years after losing my Harold, the man who made every day feel like a promise kept. I live in Cedar Falls, Iowa, in what my daughter-in-law Ashley calls a guest room in her and my son Marcus's sprawling colonial. Guest room's a generous term when you're forking over your entire Social Security check as rent. I spent 43 years raising a family in a white house with black shutters, the kind of place that screamed dignity, where Harold and I poured our hearts into raising Marcus to be a man of respect. But somewhere along the way, that boy got lost, and I ended up here, treated like a burden instead of a mother. This story isn't just about a lottery win. It's about what happens when the people you love most show you who they really are, and what you do when the universe hands you the power to set things right. It all started 3 weeks ago, on a Friday morning so gray it felt like the sky was holding its breath. I was doing what I'd done every Friday for 32 years, walking to Murphy's corner store to buy my weekly lottery ticket. Same numbers, same ritual, same little prayer to whoever might be listening upstairs. "Morning, Mrs. Williams," Jimmy Murphy called from behind the counter. At 25, he's young enough to be my grandson, but he still remembers when I'd bring Marcus in for penny candy, back when my son's smile wasn't shadowed by dollar signs. "The usual?" Jimmy asked, already punching in my numbers. "You bet," I said, handing him my $5. Those numbers, 7, 14, 23, 31, 45, Powerball 18, weren't random. 7 for the day I married Harold, when we danced under a starry Iowa sky. 14 for the day Marcus was born, a squalling bundle of hope. 23 for our wedding anniversary, years of love and laughter. 31 for the house number where we raised our family. 45 for the years Harold and I had together. 18 for Marcus's high school graduation, when he was still full of promise. I tucked the ticket into my purse right behind Harold's old driver's license, a keepsake I couldn't bear to part with. "Cross your fingers for me, Jimmy," I said, same as always. "Always do, Mrs. Williams. You're due for some good luck, if only he knew how right he'd be." The walk home was bitter, the December wind biting through my coat. I passed the house Harold and I shared for 43 years, now painted an ugly yellow by new owners. Harold would have hated it. He always said our white house with black shutters was dignified, a place where decent people raised children with values. The irony wasn't lost on me as I trudged toward Marcus and Ashley's house, where I was less a mother and more an inconvenience they'd learned to monetize. Ashley's BMW gleamed in the driveway, a symbol of their stretched budget. Through the kitchen window, I saw her pacing, phone glued to her ear, probably planning her next vacation or complaining about me. I slipped in through the back door, hanging my coat on the hook where Marcus's Little League jersey once hung, where Harold's work shirts used to dry. Normal families hung their things here because they belonged. Me? I was starting to wonder. "Dot, is that you?" Ashley's voice had that sharp edge, like I'd interrupted her day by existing. "Just me," I called back, biting back the urge to say, "Sorry for breathing in your precious house." Survival, I'd learned, meant keeping your mouth shut, even when your dignity was wearing thin. 2 years ago, when Harold died, everything changed. Grief blinds you to the vultures, especially when they're your own blood. At his funeral, Marcus gave a polished eulogy about his father's strength, while Ashley dabbed her eyes with no real tears. Mom, you can't stay in that big house alone, Marcus said as we drove from the cemetery. It's not practical. Ashley chimed in. The upkeep, the lawn, the snow, it's dangerous at your age. Their concern sounded so real, I almost believed it. I've managed 65 years, I said, staring at the frozen fields. I'll handle a few more. But they insisted, painting their guest room as my cozy new home. It'll be like a hotel, Ashley said, plumping pillows. Your own space with family nearby. I should have heard Harold's voice in my head, the one that always said, Dorothy, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. The first month wasn't bad. I cooked dinners, tidied up, stayed out of their way. They seemed grateful, though I noticed they never offered to chip in for groceries or utilities, even as my Social Security check went straight to their household expenses. By month 2, the requests started. Dot, can you watch Emma and Jake this weekend? We need couple time. Dot, grab our dry cleaning. You're already out. Dot, wait for the cable guy. Slowly, I went from guest to unpaid maid. By summer, Ashley's requests were demands, and Marcus had a knack for vanishing when tensions rose. One morning, over coffee, Ashley laid out papers like we were in a boardroom. We need to talk about the financial arrangement, she said, her voice dripping with corporate jargon. Living expenses, utilities, food, your share. She slid over a list. $800 for the guest room, $200 for utilities, $300 for food. Total, $1,300, exactly $50 less than my monthly check. This seems high, I said, my stomach sinking. I'm one person, and I'm at the senior center most days. Ashley didn't blink. You use the kitchen, the bathroom, the laundry, and when Emma and Jake visit, costs go up. Emma and Jake, Marcus's kids from his first marriage, were my joy. 8 and 10, full of life. But to Ashley, they were another expense, just like me. I signed her agreement because what choice did I have? An apartment on $50 a month wasn't an option, and Marcus swore it was temporary. Just until we figure out a long-term plan, he said. But the plan was clear. I was their live-in help, paying for the privilege. By fall, I was cooking, cleaning, shopping, and babysitting while they lived their glossy lives. The breaking point came at one of Ashley's dinner parties. I'd spent all day prepping appetizers and cleaning, then served drinks with a fake smile. As I cleared glasses, I overheard Ashley telling her friend Jennifer, Dot handles all the domestic stuff, watches the kids, and her Social Security covers her expenses. It's like having live-in help who pays us. Jennifer laughed. Write a book, How to Monetize Your Mother-in-Law. Standing there, tray in hand, I realized this wasn't family. This was exploitation, but I didn't snap. I loaded the dishwasher, went to my room, and held on to one truth. My lottery ticket, tucked in my purse, was still my little piece of hope. Then came November, when Ashley announced they were converting the basement into a mother-in-law suite. You'll have privacy, she said, spreading blueprints across the table. Your own kitchenette, your own entrance. Marcus nodded, avoiding my eyes. The contractor says it'll be done by spring. Translation, they wanted me out of sight, a problem to be solved. What if I don't want the basement? I asked. Ashley's smile tightened. We need our space back as a couple. Marcus added, if you want other options, we'd understand. Other options? At my age, with $50 a month, that meant a wait list for subsidized housing or a sketchy studio apartment. They had me trapped, and they knew it. That Friday, I walked to Murphy's through a blizzard, my steps fueled by defiance. Rough weather, Mrs. Williams, Jimmy said as I shook snow off my boots. I've walked through worse, I replied, handing him my $5. As he printed my ticket, I thought about those numbers differently. 7 wasn't just my wedding day, it was the moment I chose a life of love. 14 wasn't just Marcus's birth, it was when I believed I'd raised a good man. Maybe it was time for those numbers to mean something new. Cross your fingers, Jimmy, I said. This could be your week, he replied. He had no idea. That night, I was in bed, reading a library book about a woman inheriting a mysterious house, when the TV blared the lottery numbers. Tonight's Powerball jackpot, $53 million, the anchor chirped. The winning numbers are 7, 14, 23, 31, 45, Powerball 18. My brain froze. Those were my numbers. I rewound the DVR, heart pounding. 7, 14, 23, 31, 45. Powerball 18. I fumbled for my purse, hand shaking, and pulled out the ticket. There they were in black and white. $53 million. My first instinct was to run downstairs, tell Marcus and Ashley, share the joy. Then I remembered where I was, in their guest room, paying $1,300 a month, scheduled for the basement. I slipped the ticket back into my wallet and turned off the TV. Sleep didn't come, but clarity did. I wasn't going to be their tenant anymore. I was going to be free. Saturday morning was chaos as usual. Emma and Jake were visiting, and Ashley was off to yoga and the salon, leaving me to handle breakfast and the kids. "Morning, Dot," she said, already halfway out the door. "Can you manage?" "Of course," I replied, same as always. Marcus was holed up in his office, prepping for golf. I was mediating a TV dispute between the kids when Ashley decided to tidy the kitchen, which meant rifling through my purse for grocery coupons. "Dot, where are the cereal coupons?" she called. "Side pocket," I said, distracted. Then a gasp. "Oh my goodness, what is this?" I looked up to see her holding my lottery ticket, her face white. "Did you buy this?" My stomach dropped, but I stayed calm. "I buy one every week. Same numbers for 32 years. She stared at the ticket like it was a bomb. "Do you know what the winning numbers were last night?" Before I could answer, she was on her phone, Googling. "Oh my God, Marcus!" she shrieked. Marcus ran in, golf shirt unbuttoned. "What's wrong?" Ashley thrust the ticket at him. "Look at the numbers. Look at last night's drawing." He read the ticket, then her phone, his frown deepening. The kitchen went silent, except for Emma asking about pancakes. Marcus looked at me, his voice low. "Mom, do you realize what this means?" Oh, I realized. The question was, did they? The next hour was a circus. Ashley paced, calling everyone in her contacts. $53 million. Yes, million, she crowed. Marcus kept muttering, "This is real," checking the numbers obsessively. Emma and Jake, sensing the excitement, asked, "Are we rich now?" Ashley spun Emma around. "Very rich, sweetheart." No more worrying about money. I sat at the kitchen table, watching them plan their future with my money. Marcus talked about lawyers, accountants, taxes. Ashley chimed in. "We should upgrade the basement plans, or think bigger, a new house, a proper mother-in-law wing, or," her eyes lit up, "one of those nice senior communities for Dot, the expensive ones with activities and medical care." Marcus nodded. "You'd be happier with people your age, right, Mom?" There it was, their plan to ship me off, now with fancier wrapping. "There's one small detail," I said quietly. They turned, expectant, like I was interrupting their board meeting. "The lottery ticket is in my name." Silence. Not the excited kind. This was the silence of people realizing they'd miscalculated. Ashley's voice was slow. "What do you mean?" I held out my hand, and Marcus handed me the ticket. "I bought this with my money, from my purse, using my numbers. It's mine." Ashley's face cycled through shock, anger, panic. "But you live here. We're family. That money changes everything for all of us." "No," I said, standing. "It changes everything for me." Their expressions? Oh, I wish you could have seen them. Marcus, pale and fidgeting. Ashley, her business brain scrambling for a comeback. "Mom," Marcus said, "let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're family. We share things." I almost laughed. "Share? Like I've shared my Social Security check while doing your housework and childcare for free?" Ashley tried her client voice. "Dot, honey, there's been a misunderstanding. That wasn't rent, it was household expenses. You're not a tenant, is that so?" I tucked the ticket away. "Then you won't mind if I stop paying immediately, since I'm family." Marcus raised his hands like I was a wild animal. "Mom, this is huge, life-changing. We need to think through the implications." "I've been thinking," I said. "Since last night, I've concluded that $53 million is enough to live comfortably without depending on anyone." Ashley whispered, "You wouldn't leave." "I'm very serious," I said. "I'm calling the lottery office Monday to claim my prize, then finding my own place." Marcus ran his hands through his hair. "You can't make decisions like this when you're emotional. You need help managing this money. From you?" I asked, raising an eyebrow. "When did you decide I was too incompetent to handle my own affairs?" I pulled out a notebook. "Let's talk numbers. In the past year, I've paid you $15,600 in expenses. I provided 1,200 hours of unpaid childcare, 800 loads of laundry, 300 meals, and weekly cleaning. That's $20,000 in labor. In return, you've given me a room you plan to replace with a basement. That's not generosity, it's exploitation." Ashley's face reddened. "That's not fair. Marcus protested. We've provided a home. A home where I'm a paying servant, I said. But that's about to change. Sunday morning, Ashley was in crisis mode, armed with a binder of articles about lottery winners going bankrupt. 70% lose it all in 5 years, she said, flipping pages. You need guidance. Family guidance, Marcus added. This is too big for one person, especially at your age. I sipped my coffee, watching their performance. You've given this a lot of thought, I said. We care about you, Marcus insisted. We don't want you making mistakes. Like trusting the wrong people? I asked, echoing Ashley's own words about family taking advantage. Then I dropped my own research. The average cost of assisted living here is $1,800 a month, meals, housekeeping, activities included. You've charged me $1,300 for a room and my own labor. That's not family. That's a bad deal. They had no response. I closed her binder. You're worried about the wrong person making poor financial decisions. By Monday, the news had spread. Reporters swarmed their house, and Ashley played the doting daughter-in-law for the cameras. Mrs. Williams is resting, she told Channel 7, but we're so excited for this blessing in all our lives. I had an appointment with David Richardson, our family lawyer. As I headed for the door, Marcus and Ashley tried to stop me. There's a media circus, Ashley said. You're not equipped to handle this. I've navigated 67 years, I said. I can manage a walk to my car. Outside, reporters mobbed me. Mrs. Williams, how does it feel to win $53 million? I paused, feeling Marcus and Ashley's eyes on me. I'm grateful, I said. I'm going to use it to live independently and make my own choices for the first time in 2 years. A reporter pressed, What do you mean? I looked back at the house. I've been paying my son and daughter-in-law $1,300 a month to live as their tenant while providing unpaid labor. They plan to move me to their basement. Now, I have the means to be a guest in my son's life, not a servant. The cameras whirred, and Ashley's gasp echoed from the doorway. At David's office, I found refuge. Congratulations, Dorothy, he said. Harold would be proud. We discussed claiming the prize, setting up trusts, and my plans to move. Then David dropped a bombshell. Harold made me promise to keep something confidential unless your family took advantage of you financially. He pulled out a folder. Harold hired a private investigator before he died. He knew Marcus and Ashley were in debt. $47,000 in credit cards, $32,000 underwater on their mortgage, 2 car loans, and Ashley's business losing money for 8 months. My heart sank. Harold knew. He also set up a $500,000 trust for you, David said. It's been earning interest, waiting for you to need it. Tears stung my eyes. Harold had protected me, even from beyond. I want a family meeting, I told David. Tonight. They need to know what I know. At 7 p.m., Marcus and Ashley arrived, thinking they'd manage my outburst with the press. Ashley brought her binder, Marcus, a bottle of wine, and a fake smile. Mom, we understand you were overwhelmed, Marcus began. I wasn't overwhelmed, I said. I was telling the truth. I laid out the investigator's report. You owe $47,000 in credit card debt, $32,000 on your mortgage, $18,000 in car loans. Ashley, your business is failing. Marcus paled. Ashley's composure cracked. How dare you invade our privacy, she snapped. The same way you invaded mine, assuming I couldn't manage my own money, I replied. I showed them my calculations. $15,600 in rent, $20,000 in labor. You've taken $50,000 from me in 2 years while planning to isolate me in your basement. Ashley cried. Caught. Not sorry. Marcus stammered. We never meant it like that. Your father hoped he was wrong about you, I said, placing the trust fund document on the table. $500,000 set up to protect me when you treated me like a business opportunity. I stood, purse in hand. I've put a deposit on an apartment at Meadowbrook Senior Community. 2 bedrooms, full kitchen, my own space, for less than you charged me. I paused at the door. You might want to plan for that $47,000 in debt without my income. As I walked to my car, their voices faded. Ashley crying, Marcus pleading, but their crisis wasn't my problem anymore. I had $53 million, Harold's love still shielding me, and a new life waiting. Justice delayed isn't justice denied, Harold used to say. It's justice with better timing. And oh, was he right?
Wow, wasn't that a ride? Dot's story reminds us that sometimes the people closest to us can betray us the deepest. But the universe has a way of balancing the scales. Have you ever had a moment where you stood up to family who took you for granted? Maybe you've got your own tale of turning the tables on greed or disrespect. Drop it in the comments below and let's talk about it. Here at Revenge Emmy, we love hearing your stories of justice and empowerment. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join our community to keep the conversation going. Where are you watching from? Let me know in the comments, and let's show the world what happens when you underestimate someone like Dot.
The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. I claimed the prize in Des Moines, opting for the annuity on David's advice to minimize taxes. The first payment hit my account, and I moved into Meadowbrook, a sunny apartment with a view of rolling fields. No more guest rooms, no more basements. I bought a new car, nothing flashy, just reliable, and started volunteering at the senior center, teaching knitting classes. Emma and Jake visited sometimes, their laughter filling my new home. Marcus called once, asking to talk things over. I told him I'd be happy to visit as a guest, not a tenant. Ashley sent an email, half apology, half excuse, which I read and archived. I wasn't angry anymore, just done. I thought about Harold often, how he'd seen this coming and protected me with that trust fund. I used some of the money to set up a scholarship in his name for local kids who couldn't afford college. The rest? It's for me to live the life I deserve. I go to book clubs, take pottery classes, and sip coffee on my balcony, watching the sunrise. For the first time in years, I'm not someone's burden or bank account. I'm Dot Williams, and I'm free.
What did you think of Dot's epic comeback? If her story hit you in the feels, give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear about standing up for themselves. At Revenge Emmy, we're all about celebrating those moments when you take back your power. Got a question about Dot's journey or a story of your own? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. Subscribe to Revenge Emmy for more tales of justice served cold, and tell me, where are you watching from? Let's keep building this community of truth tellers and game changers together.